Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Criterion Connection. I'm Wade,
And I'm Joe.
and we're here to talk about 1960 thriller slash proto slasher by Michael Powell, who we've covered before with Red Shoes and I forget the beginning, but it's Colonel Blimp.
Oh
Is it
yeah,
The Tragic Life of Colonel Blimp or something like
yeah, yeah,
that? Called Peeping Tom. Also starring Karl Heinz Bohm, who was in Fox and His Friends. So it's another movie that we've covered that you should check out.
yeah.
He's basically playing a photographer that also he's both uncomfortable, unhinged, but also looks like he can blend into the crowd very easily.
He's a little awkward.
He's a little. That's a good way to
He's a
describe it.
little
He's
awkward.
a skosh awkward.
Just a scotch.
Spoiler: he's a serial killer. It's not really a spoiler because it's established in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
It's very much about his psyche than it is who the killer is. Which a lot of like murder mysteries are like, who's the killer? This one, Front Street, it's him.
Well, we also we have those glimpses into his life that kind of help him along this path and kind of give him that twisted way of thinking and feeling.
Yeah,
So it's an interesting movie. This is one of those like kind of really notorious films that we haven't really touched.
yeah,
It's not super well known, but it's super kind of notorious for what it is.
yeah. It was
Very much like a giallo movie, but like
that's what I said. Pro slasher. This was before the slashers.
yeah, this is the same year as Psycho. This
Yeah.
is before all of the Italian giallo films.
You could definitely say Dario Argento likes this film.
Yeah.
You can also in the beginning of the movie you could tell John Carpenter likes this film
Mm-hmm.
because the opening is very Halloween opening
Yeah.
of the POV killer basically stalking the killer. This one's a little different because it deals with like a lady of the night and it's kind of interactive, but yeah, you can definitely tell that a lot of influence comes from this, and also it's very critically panned. Obviously, in 1960, if this movie came out, they're like, "Whoa,
Yeah, it's a
whoa."
lot. It's a lot to take in.
Yeah, he's basically killing people with a POV of a camera, and he's killing them.
It's also kind of referenced in Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer.
Yes, it's very complicated film, but it's also a very important film. I feel like
Yeah.
without this, you wouldn't get a lot of other films. I really think that I know like Psycho and this were like kind of neck and neck in production stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like in future stuff that Hitchcock would do, he would definitely. I'm sure he took some stuff that Peeping Tom.
He won't ever admit it.
He won't. Well, he's not gonna admit it now. Yeah, it's I am just gonna spoil it. I love this film.
It's a really good movie.
I never seen it. It's been on my watch list forever.
Mm-hmm.
And I finally got to watch it, and I loved this film.
Yeah.
It's got great editing, great fantastic cinematography. The shots are really good. There's one shot I really like is like the film reels going as he's showing Helen, his the old family video.
Her 21st birthday present.
The old family
Yeah.
videos of his trauma.
He well, and it's great. It's great acting from Carl Bohm.
Oh my gosh.
He's so good in this film because
Yes.
he's like, I mean, it's obvious he's not like kind of a native English speaker, but like he speaks great English. It's just slightly off, and it adds to the character and his awkwardness.
Yeah.
It's a tremendous film. It's got great. I think it's got great music in it too. Just really great at accenting those moments.
Oh, I always love the 50s backdrop. I always love that era.
It's what's crazy is like you'll watch it, and I can't like because I've also wanted to watch this for a long time. It's been on my to watch list because it is such an influential and like big like movie in that kind of sphere that like any sort of giallo or any sort of slasher like really owes this movie a lot, along with Psycho and along with even some of the noir films prior. But like that one, Peeping Tom and Psycho are the two big like mother and father of that whole like subgenre.
Literally.
Yeah.
Because Psycho's the mother and this one's very much the father.
Yeah. But it's like you watch it and you sit there and like I can't tell you how many times, especially early on during the film, I'm like, this is weird. This seems a little anachronistic or something, like out of time. And then I go, wait, it's 1960.
Yes.
Because I keep thinking it's closer to the 70s.
Yeah.
I keep thinking it's closer to the 70s just because of how like modern it is. And then you hear the way they talk.
It's very ahead of its time. One of my favorites, there's two scenes I really like the most. The first scene is the awkward family video I mentioned earlier. Just like she's like kind of interested in him in general, and he's like, "You're interested in my art? You're interested in my videos, my films?" You know.
Well, it's like, I think what's interesting is like he's such a character of like he wants to make that connection. He's just so divorced from every like normal person, normal interactions. Like everything he does is through the lens of a camera, and like that's how he interacts with people,
because that's how he was interacted with as a child.
Exactly. And when Helen goes out of her way to kind of reach out and like make that connection, and she's like, yeah, this is my 21st birthday, you know, I've seen you around, but I always wanted to talk, and like, you know, obviously showing genuine interest in him. And so he kind of gets taken aback as somebody who's always in the background, or if he's not in the background, he's being filmed.
Yeah, and also like,
and having very strange things done to him.
And on the film set, he's like not like the DP. He's like the rack focus person. He just that's. I mean, that's an important role, but it's not like the way he's acted. You would think he's like a cinematographer. But
he wants to be.
Yeah, and he's very in that. But she's very interested, and it's just really awkward and off-putting. And then there's this point where he's kind of getting off towards like not getting off sexually, he's getting off like just in life, just like ooh, and he starts filming her reaction to her watching the videos.
Well, that's it. Like everything he does is through that. Like it's literally through that lens. Like and it's just everything he knows and the way he interacts with the world is through a camera. And so when he's eliciting this response from her from watching the films, he wants to record it and remember it, just like all of the other occasions, we'll say, that he's filming young ladies. He wants to capture those moments and savor them.
Yeah, and then probably my all-time favorite scene of the whole movie is the Vivian film set scene. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it was a date or he's gonna film something, but like basically she goes in there in a dark film set, and then the lights starts coming on like individually, and you're like, oh, and he's on like a crane that's way above, and he's lowering, and what's great is the light is on that crane, and you see it reflecting on her face of it lowering down, and you're like, okay, it's getting tense, it's building up, and then she starts doing her little dance, which is like a ragtime, jazzy kind of dance, and she's like dancing, film, singing in the rain kind of stuff, Fred Astaire stuff, like just dancing. But in the meantime, he's very tense. Like it's the tension's building on his movements, and then it gets to the point where when he gets down to the camera and they show the camera POV shot, and the mood changes. And the music changes too. It's not as ragtime. It's a little more like bass, drum, jazz kind of build up. And then it gets build up. And he reveals that, okay, he kills them with the tripod leg. Yeah. And then she turns around, puts it down. And there's just little things that builds up, and it builds it up, and then he finally does it. And I think it's a really good, tense build up to a kill I've seen in a long time in film. And I like how in the movie it gradually reveals how his kill method is. At the end, I don't want to reveal the ultimate twist to this kill method. Yeah. Because I didn't see it coming. And I'm like, oh. Yeah. It's at the end. But like gradually you see how he's doing with the tripod leg halfway through. And even like when the cops are like kind of like on him, he's like, ooh, he starts filming it.
Yeah.
Like he's filming it from the rafters and stuff like that. Like, and also by the way, an hour and 26 minutes and 40 seconds, they do a title drop of Peeping Tom. They say Peeping Toms a couple times, but Peeping Tom is said 1 hour and 26 minutes in.
Yeah. You see a lot of that in the early parts of the film, like in those like little live action moments where he's showing bits of his life and like kind of how his parents interacted with him, how his father would like do kind of experiments on him, where you see the voyeuristic tendencies. Like I don't know, it's just such a solidly built movie. It's so well done. Like,
it flies by.
It's crazy. Like, you brought up like, you know, the Red Shoes. I didn't even think about this. I didn't think about he did Red Shoes. I didn't think about Colonel Blimp. And those are both movies we watched, and we're surprisingly, like, for us, like, we like them a lot. At least I remember Red Shoes.
Are we Michael Powell fans?
I think we're Michael Powell fans, because this guy is just really solid at what he does. He does it across multiple genres. He's just tremendous. And I got to track down more of Michael Powell's films to see kind of what else he does.
Yeah.
And kind of how else he uses his fundamental like filmmaking to enhance whatever story it is, because this movie, like that scene you're talking about where it's like the tension just ratcheting, it's just so like it's so well done and so well paced, and he's able to develop these characters so well. It's
and even
crazy.
Another great scene is when Helen's mother is up there in the dark room with him. That's a great scene too. Just everything, like even the ending is so it builds it up pretty well, and even like he lets himself go by asking the psychiatrist, and he kind of reveals himself a little bit, but he's it's another great direction scene of like he takes him on the crane and he raises the crane up to ask him, how can you deal with being a peeping Tom, or what was it, voyeuristic kind of voyeur. Like it's like scopo, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And he's like, is there a cure? And he's like, yeah, it's got 3 years of like therapy and stuff like that. And then he lowers the crane, and as the crane's lowering, he's deflating because he realized the cure is not that easy. And it's like such really good camera work to also visually show how he is feeling internally. Yeah. And it's just, man, so good.
Yeah, it really is.
So Joe, I guess should I even ask the question? Would you recommend it to the general audience?
Yeah. This is probably, it's very, very good, and I think in doing this show for so long, we've become fans of directors we didn't suspect. This is certainly one of them. You know, Michael Powell is really up there for me.
The Mikes.
And I have to I do have to seek out more and like see what else this man's done and like really start dissecting everything he does.
Maybe there's more in the Criterion collection and people should comment below. I'd also recommend it 100%.
Yeah, and where I was going is anybody who likes a Hitchcock or a suspense, a slasher even, like this needs to kind of ratchet up people's to watch list. Like it needs to get seen because it's good. It's real good.
It's I loved it, and it's probably one of my favorite movies. And we've done a lot of great movies on the show.
Yeah.
Most, let's say the past 6 months or whatever, like it's definitely my favorite.
Yeah.
Of all the stuff,
it's
so good. I loved it. As someone who like also I'm frequently on a Giallo podcast called Giallo the Month Club. We talk about Giallo films, and this is like I feel like just head and shoulders better than a lot of films that I've seen. Like it's so good. But what's your thoughts on Peeping Tom? Let us know in the comment section below what you think. What's another film of Michael Powell's that's probably in the Criterion collection? Are there any other films that maybe not in the collection and you feel like they're up there with Peeping Tom and Psycho of that era, the early 60s? I'm interested in what's in the early 60s. I'm used to like, late 60s, 70s, 80s, and so on. But early 60s not very kind of like, I know Psycho, right?
Yeah.
And now Peeping Tom. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Do all that. Follow us on Instagram, Condish Productions. That's about it. Oh, I guess you should definitely buy our short, Butterfly of Black Velvet, or check it out on Vimeo, because that's a Giallo-inspired slasher, so might as well plug that thing.
Yeah, for this one, yeah.
Yeah.
For this specific episode?
It's right here. You can buy it. This actual DVD right here. You can buy it right here. Look at that art. Great. Superior Land does the art. Anyway, that's us. I'm Wade.
And I'm still Joe.
And we'll see you later.